Good evening, I'm John Carter and welcome to Poland Daily Business. The Polish expressway network will gain an additional 69 kilometres of new expressways before the end of 2018, increasing the number of kilometres opened this year to 350. However, it is 90 kilometres less than the General Directorate for National Roads and Motorways planned at the start of the year. The new stretches to be opened before the end of the year are on the S3 from Szczecin in the north to Legnica in the south, and on the S7 connecting Gdansk in the north with Kraków in the south. The Polish Ministry of Defence has placed an order with the Polish Armaments Group for 888 medium-sized trucks for the army. The group is a holding company established by the Polish government to unite Polish state-owned defence industry companies. The contract is worth almost 800 million zloty and the trucks will be delivered between 2019 and 2022. The Polish Army is already in possession of 1,300 medium-sized trucks previously provided by Jelcz. The trucks can carry loads of up to 6 tonnes and have a top speed of 85 kilometres per hour. The Polish National Development Council are planning to increase the number of freight ship owners flying the Polish flag. Many currently fly under the third world country flags as a way of paying lower taxes and avoiding national insurance costs. In fact, only 6 of the 96 currently operational Polish cargo ships fly the white and red flag. The proposed solution is to connect the social insurance of sailors to a minimum wage as opposed to a gross income. Some tax experts estimate Poland to be losing billions of zloty a year in revenue. So it's not simply a patriotic motivation, but also a financial one. Thank you very much for joining me here this evening at Poland Daily Business. I'm John Carter. Now it's over to Alexander Wierzchowski.
Welcome to Poland Daily Business Edition. Tonight our guest is Nicholas Richardson of Polish-British Chamber of Commerce. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Alex. Lovely to be here.
Well, since you are in the Polish-British businesses so long, are you afraid of Brexit?
Well, I'm not afraid of Brexit. I think the problem is nobody quite knows, even today, what Brexit means. And that is a frustration. Business, as you know, needs time to prepare. And it's hard to prepare for something if you don't know what is going to happen. The difficulty is that business is probably likely to prepare for the worst-case scenario, which means they're already making plans, even as Theresa May is delaying the key vote in the British Parliament on whether to approve her deal. The problem with her deal is it can't really be approved because it satisfies nobody.
And the stakes are quite high right now because the Polish-British businesses are growing on an exponential scale.
Well, the stakes are very high, and obviously we need to export goods and services to Poland, and we do buy a lot of goods and services from Poland. And anything which interferes with the free flow of goods and services, and dare I say it, I probably won't be very popular in certain quarters of saying it, people, is something bad for business, and that's what we all want to avoid. And it's just incredible, I think, to you and to all of us, that the politicians are still wasting their time, not even deciding what we should do.
Let's start from painting the picture how the Polish-British businesses right now are looking like. What is the main export, what is main import from both sides?
Well, I think Poland exports to us quite a lot of sort of manufactured goods, particularly in the motor sector. We export quite a lot of food and drinks and other services to Poland. To be fair, that hasn't, the UK should be doing far better in terms of our exports to Poland. We're running a trade deficit with Poland, which is obviously very good for Poland and probably very good for most of your viewers here, but obviously less good from the UK point of view. And I think part of that is as a feeling of a lot of the British investors, the large investors, have sort of been taken over. So the insurance companies were taken over by Polish companies. So we have been less prominent in investing in this part of the world than maybe the French, the Germans, even the Americans, the Italians. So for our size of the economy, we're probably underrepresented in Poland.
So you are just rested on importing the workers from Poland?
Yes, we've imported workers, and we've imported manufactured goods. You look at big people like Tesco, which is obviously ultimately a British company. They saw Poland as a source of obviously workers, as a source of cheaper food products, because the cost of manufacturing all sorts of things in Poland is much cheaper than in the United Kingdom.
Of course.
And this, I think, also, if we think of the Polish economy more widely, this is a great challenge for the future. Can Poland move up the value
You
chain.
can also put it this way, that first Poles came to Britain to steal British jobs, and then British businesses started to source their products in Poland to further steal the jobs from the British manufacturers.
Yes, but I suspect very few educated people would believe that the Poles stole any jobs. I think the Poles were doing jobs which were there to be taken. It's very hard to arrive in a country, a foreign country, as an immigrant and steal something from somebody who's already there. I think the Poles who came like immigrants from all over the world, you could say even like the Ukrainians who come to Poland, they have the gumption to get off their backsides and move to a different country, and because they've moved to a different country, they want to make a success of it. And I think we have lots of Poles in the UK because they've worked very hard and they've been, generally speaking, a good thing. Obviously, at the extremes, there are some who've not been a good thing, but you know, if you have 1 million people, you're bound to get a few who don't actually necessarily bring you something of benefit.
The deal we are talking about are about £50 billion a year, so that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, yes.
And this is what's at stake when the Brexit will just happen and cut those ties.
Yes, this is the problem. Politicians talk about, some politicians talk about, well, we could have a no-deal Brexit, we could trade on World Trade Organization terms. The point of that is that actually very few countries in the world trade exclusively on World Trade Organization terms because they set a minimum. They're not necessarily ideal. And for a country like the United Kingdom, which actually exports a lot of motor vehicles, for example, there would be a higher tariff on exports to the European Union, which is obviously people would say, well, hang on a minute, I'm not going to manufacture my cars in a country where I then face a huge import tax when I send them overseas. I'll build my next car factory not in Birmingham, but I'll build it in Poland. And this is what the politicians fail to understand. They think it's all about finished goods crossing borders, which is fine. And therefore the Germans will want to sell us their cars, the French will want to sell us their wine. But the reality is, in the making of the cars, those goods cross the border lots of times before they're finished. And that is the key with just-in-time manufacturing.
You are speaking about the goods that everyone can see on the naked eye, with the naked eye. Yeah. But there are goods that we cannot see because they are like financial services.
Exactly.
That basically
London London is the centre for European financial services. And if the deal with the European Union is not of the right type, then we will not enjoy the ability to be based in London and sell our financial services to Europe. And that would be a tragedy because about 80% of our economy in the United Kingdom is now based on services. And the idea that the politicians will think, oh, well, that, you know, it'll sort itself out is just folly.
Okay. Is there like in Poland, I can see that the sentiment that we can lose a lot on the trade and services with Britain after Brexit is very prominent. Is it the same situation in Britain? I
think those people who think about it and know what they're talking about, they fear that we will lose a lot from Brexit, both in terms of goods and services, in terms of communication, in terms of actually a labour force that we need in our country. And so whereas I can understand the sentiment and the frustration which caused many people to vote for Brexit, it was in many cases, I think, more a protest vote against the government of the day rather than a sort of cool calculation of the pros and cons of being in the European Union. And it's a tragedy that we're in this mess, and it seems to be a mess.
From your point of view, a British man living in Poland for some time, is it a reasonable solution to call another referendum?
To call a second referendum, I think that may be the only way out of it. I mean, I wouldn't have called the first referendum. But the second referendum, maybe. The problem with the second referendum is nobody knows how it would actually go in practice. People may say, well, we thought we had a referendum, we're now so fed up. You're the politicians, you sort it out.
The rationale is that you voted for us to take some direction. We took that direction. Now we are on the point for you to decide, is it this exactly what you want,
a
or
lot of people
else?
say, oh, well, you can't have a second referendum because you're defeating the will of the people. But the point is the people know a lot more now than they did 2 years ago. And in life, it's normal that as you acquire more information, if you're an intelligent human being, you may take a different decision. And I think many people, including me, and I probably know more about it than most people, I hadn't realised the depth and the complication of some of the ties with the European Union.
Right. It's like you jump head-on from the high tower and then you find out whether there is water in the pool.
Well, exactly. And it should be obvious now that for whatever reason, we can't really get a suitable deal with the European Union. So we should take advantage, in my view, we should take advantage of the European Court of Justice ruling of last week, which allows us to withdraw unilaterally the Article 50 notice that we're leaving and say, OK, we tried, it hasn't really worked. We're coming up with a better plan, but we'll stay in for the time being.
Okay, so we'll see how it develops. Mr. Nicholas Richardson, thank you very much for coming to the show. And that was it for our Poland Daily Business News.